Hello everyone, and welcome to another Monster Hunter World video. This is Thegameconomist, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 tips for defeating Ancient Leshen. This is a great video to watch if you're already pretty confident in your abilities, and you just want to know the most important characteristics of that fight. I've actually ranked these tips. Now, if you're looking for a complete strategy guide on Ancient Leshen, something that includes an analysis of the moveset, I have that too, and I'll be leaving a link to it in the comment section in the description, or you can click up here. So once again, before we get started, I placed these tips in order of importance. Let's go ahead and start with tip number 5. The Ancient Leshen teleports all over the map, and this makes it hard to kind of chase and punish him as he's teleporting throughout the fight. However, did you know you can actually hear which direction he's teleporting if you just put on a decent pair of headphones? So wearing a decent gaming headset is actually going to allow you to predict where he went. Did he go to your right? Did he jump behind you? You can actually hear it, and I gotta say, Capcom does not get enough props for that clever game mechanic because it's a very cool interaction with the game. You don't see a lot of innovation, and I think they pulled this off really well. So if you absolutely can't play with the sound, let me also say that using the targeting system that's already in the game for the controller on my Xbox controller, you press down the right joystick. This will also allow you to find him because your camera is going to whip around wherever he's at once he's appeared. So that'll help you a little bit as well. Tip number 4, for this fight in particular, you're going to be using your Slinger Pod ammo. That's because the Ancient Leshen has 2 dangerous moves that you need to interrupt. The first one is his grab. This is where he slams his claw on the ground and roots jump up and try to grab someone, right? So one of the things I want to say about this is don't just automatically interrupt him. I've caught myself doing this. I've caught others doing this. If he goes for a grab, let him try to get it, because if he misses, you can actually punish him really well while he's in that attack animation. And you'll know if he does grab somebody because he kind of like flips the bird when he grabs somebody. You'll see his finger pop up. So the right arm goes down, the left arm, he'll point a finger up if he did successfully grab someone. It's a really clever attack mechanic. I think, again, Capcom just did so well with this whole fight. Anyways, if somebody's been captured, shoot the Ancient Leshen probably with the flash pod, or you can shoot him with the bomb pod. You can use dragon pods, you can use scatter nuts, you can use piercing pods. The trouble is, occasionally you'll take 2 shots of those to interrupt him. So if you want to be really consistent, use your flash pods and use your bomb pods. Those are very consistent. You can also use your fire rune on the roots themselves. This will free your teammate as well. But things get so chaotic, it's more consistent to go for him with the flash pod or with the bomb pod. The other dangerous move that you're going to be interrupting is called the Bird Bomb Nova. That's why I'm calling it the Bird Bomb. The Bird Bomb can't be blocked. Can't be blocked. I'm repeating that. And it has a ton of range. So everyone's kind of responsible for sheathing their weapon when he's in the charge up for this move and firing either a flash pod or a bomb pod onto him in order to interrupt his cast of the move. Ancient Leshen never becomes immune to flash pods, so be sure to bring some flash bugs and use them as often as you want. Just make sure you always have some. Tip number 3, let's talk about crowd controls. You've got 4 primary crowd controls. That would be paralysis, KO, mount, and especially part break. When you break apart on Ancient Leshen, not only are you going to get a knockdown, but the Jagras are going to run away if there were any Jagras in the field, and when he stands back up, he tends to kind of like walk around and be significantly less powerful. So what does that mean? That means if you can part break him in stage 4, that's going to be a big deal. Should you bring the part breaker skill? Absolutely not. The reason why is, if you bring the part breaker skill, you end up breaking his parts early in stages 1, 2, and 3 when you don't need to because the fight's easier. And again, stage 4 is the most difficult part of the fight. He just teleports like crazy, right? So save those part breaks for stage 4. If you can just get 1, it's going to make a big difference. Similarly, save your paralysis for stage 4. Very often, if we're talking about paralysis, we're talking about paralysis ammo or paralysis coating from the bow, right? Don't use that until stage 4. You're going to feel very tempted to use it early. Don't use it till stage 4. That's where it's going to help the most. Stage 3 is easy, I've decided. I've fought him enough times that I know stage 4 is a significant uptick in difficulty. Should you be bringing paralysis weapons? Absolutely not. If you have a slow weapon, you should be going full raw damage. If you have a fast weapon, you should be going fire damage. Ancient Leshen has way too much health to be bringing paralysis weapons. That's, again, one of the things I've learned from fighting him over and over and over again. So save those paralysis for stage 4 if you have a bowgun or a bow. If you're not a bowgun or a bow, just use fire damage. Finally, you have KO damage and you have mount damage. If you just stay by a ledge, you're going to help your whole team with dealing mount damage, especially if somebody's using a hammer or a greatsword, because those two weapons can do an infinite ledge hop over and over and over again, and you get a mount very quickly when you do this. This also helps hammers build up KO damage faster, because a lot of the time when they're doing their aerial attacks, they're high enough up that they're going to land a headshot on him. And of course, after he's been mounted, when he comes down, you're able to get more KO damage on him with the hammer because you get your big bang out, right? Also, when you're mounted on the Ancient Leshen, don't get knocked off, obviously. When you're at the end of it, though, and you're ready to use your finishing attack, kind of hold it for a few seconds. Maybe count to 3, 4, or 5, right? And use your attack later so that your teammates get a few extra jabs while you're standing there, and then you still bring him down. You got to be careful not to wait too long, though. He'll actually shake you off even if you have stamina, okay? Don't mess that part up. He'll shake you off even if you have stamina left. I'll repeat that. And that's the end of tip 3. Tip number 2, the Ancient Leshen has a whopping 65,000 health, and it does not scale down for playing solo. This means you're going to want to play on a team, and that also means you'll want to play with players who know what the heck they're doing. If you're tired of fighting Ancient Leshen with randoms, consider joining my Discord server. It has 10,000 members now, and our most active channels are the LFG channels. So players are joining, they're posting to find each other, they're setting up sessions, and then they're going out, they fight Arch-Tempered Kulftaroth, Ancient Leshen, the Behemoth, is all good. The Ancient Leshen's ridiculously high health means you also want to be sure that you are using your best builds. Don't come in here trying to experiment. Make sure that you have high damage endgame builds with a chunk of survivability. I recommend at least health boost to level 3. Finally, tip number 1, the most important aspect of the Ancient Leshen fight is that he's designed to deal a lot of chip damage, especially as the fight progresses. His Revolta aura, if you want to call it that, will deal DOT damage to you if you get close enough. DOT, damage over time. So you get close to him, it goes chunk, 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 you lose a bunch of health, right? There's also the Jagras. The Jagras come in and they cut right through Temporal Mantle, and they also deal chip. And the Ancient Leshen has Revolta attacks that deal chips. So the Ancient Leshen has a combination of moves and an aura that will bring your health down no matter what. It's kind of like Valhazak, right? Even if you're really good and Valhazak never hits you with his attacks, which if you're like me, you do get hit by the attacks, but even if you're really good and you can dodge all the moves, you're still going to lose all your health because that's the way the fight's designed. This means 2 things. For the love of God, do not skip out on bringing a health regen augmentation on your weapon, okay? So this is the number 1 tip. I put it all the way at the end of the videos. Number 1, do not skip out on your health regen augmentation on your weapon. The only exception to that rule might be bowguns who use spread shot and bows who use spread shot, of course. But if you're going to be playing with the bow or a bowgun, it helps to know if you have a healer on your team, and that's the other part to this tip. Have a healer on your team. If you don't have a healer on your team, consider being the healer. If you have a dedicated healer, that's wide range 5, probably Gobbler 2 or Gobbler 3, preferably satiated so you don't just run out of consumable. If you've got a healer on your team, the fight's going to go much, much better, right? Because everyone's always going to be taking tick damage, and the reality is some players may not bring health regen augmentation, even though I'm shouting at you to bring health regen augmentations. I fought him so many times, and I know without a doubt, if you go in there without that health regen augmentation, the fight's considerably worse for you. You get maybe 1 combo off on him, 1 or 2 hits, and then you have to sheath and need a max potion or a mega potion. A, that's very expensive. B, is very annoying, and C, when you have to do this, not only are you at risk of being one-shot by the hug or by one of his other powerful moves, but it also means you've stopped attacking him, so you just lose damage. So health regen augmentation, tip number 1, and that is all 5 of my tips. If you like those tips and you want more, once again, I'll plug my complete strategy guide for fighting Ancient Leshen. It includes a breakdown of his dangerous moveset, and really it's one of the better breakdowns to have in the game because all of his moves look kind of the same. He's got all these root attacks. It's kind of hard to understand what all of his root attacks are. So give that video a watch if you liked this one. Today I want to do a special shout out and thank you to Anti-Spartan. He's my new top sponsor on Patreon. And of course, thank you to all of you for watching the video. I'll see you guys next time.